Hi there, folks. This is part 2 of making a robot remote control. Part 1 was making the remote control part of this, and we used our loose moto bit to get the A button to be going forward, the B button to go backward, and the A plus B buttons to get it to stop. So what we want to do is go in and make the receiver program. So let's go to new project and let's call this remote control robot. We're going to do this in blocks as well. And we want to add in the moto bit extension. So let's go to advanced and click on extensions. And we want to search for the moto bit extension. So we have that in there. Okay. So now we're going to pull in a show number, and we need to turn the motors on in on start. Okay. So what we want is to create a receive command here. So if the number was 0, do one thing. If the number is 1, do another thing. And if the number is 2, do yet another thing. So we need to go into the radio group here and first make sure that whatever group number you have on your remote control microbit, that you also put into on start in your receiving microbit that is on your robot. Okay. Then in radio, we want to get an on radio received number. This is when I receive a number, what do I do? Okay. So what we want is an if true then. Okay. So if true then, and then we can add in an else if we need to. So we want to know if the received number is a certain number, then do something. Okay. So first thing we want to do is go back into logic and get an equal sign with numbers in it. Okay. So let's grab one of those in here and put that in for true. We want this to first say if the received number is 1. So remember, we get receive number and we pull that into the first 0 there. So if the received number is 1, then we want the robot to go forward. So let's go and get 2 moto bits here. If we move right and left at 50, and we have number 1 standing for forward. We should also use that same trick we had, putting in an LEDs in here. So both of ours will show that it's getting the forward command. Now, we'll add in another layer by clicking. Actually, we're going to need 2 other layers here. So else if, and then now we want another equal sign, and we're going to get from logic another equals, and we want to say if the received number, remember we drag that from this part up here, if the received number is 2, then we want both motors to go backwards. So we need, let me duplicate that, and don't know where my duplicates went. I'll just drag another one in here. So if it's 2, then we want the left motor to go backward, reverse, and the right motor to go into reverse. Now, with these structures, we have an else in here. There's my duplicates hanging out down there. So we would kind of want to default if it's not doing anything else. So I'm going to actually add in a, if the received number is 0, so we want to get from logic an equal sign. And if the received number, I want to grab that from the top. If the received number is 0, then we want both motors to stop. Okay. So the way we can do that without too much fuss is make sure you've got both of these set at 0. Now, depending on how you want this thing to work, an else section is kind of like the default. Like, what do you want it to do if you're not pressing a button here? Now, in this particular case, it will continue doing these things if until it gets another number. If we want it to always be going forward unless you press something, then you could put a default action down here in else. I'm going to leave the else blank here. Else, it's not going to give it any other instruction. So at this point, I forgot to put in my symbols. So for the reverse one, I want this here, backwards arrow, and then for my stopped, I think I could just use the icon X. Okay, so we've got in our on radio received, we got if radio received is a 1, then go forward. If radio received is a 2, then go in reverse. And if the radio received is a 0, that would be pushing both of these together, then it will stop. And then in this particular version of it, there is no default activity. Like if I'm not getting a number, then what do I do? If we leave this blank, I believe what will happen is that it will just continue following the last command that you gave it, which is, I think, how most people expect theirs to work. Okay, so I'm going to go get my robot, download this, and then test it out and see how it goes.